everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We always get tons of requests to cover certain hot topics in the world of crypto, and this one is no different. Lately, we've been getting a ton of questions about how the UK is approaching cryptocurrency regulation, specifically, when it comes to property rights.
Right, yeah.
And, we've been keeping an eye on things, and there have been some interesting developments. Like, we found this article, it's titled Pasted Text.
Yeah.
It hints at some pretty big changes that could be coming down the pipeline, so we figured, you know what?
Let's dig in.
Yeah, let's dive in and unpack this thing together.
Absolutely.
So the big news here, and this is pretty major, is that England and Wales are considering classifying cryptocurrencies and NFTs as property.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Huge. So for those of us, and I'm including myself here, who might not be fluent in legalese, what does that actually mean? What are the implications of classifying something as property in this context?
Well, I think the simplest way to think about it is that it brings digital assets into the legal fold, right? It gives them the same sorts of protections and considerations as physical property. Think about it this way.
Yeah.
You lend someone some Bitcoin, and then, unfortunately, they go bankrupt.
Right.
If Bitcoin is classified as property, you have a much stronger legal basis to reclaim those funds.
Oh, I see. So it's like...
It's about clarity.
Yeah, it's about establishing clear ownership.
Exactly.
So that, in these situations, like debt recovery or even inheritance, there are clear rules.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the Law Commission is trying to address, right?
Okay.
They're trying to ensure that digital assets are treated fairly within the legal system, and this classification as property is a big step towards that.
It makes sense because digital assets, they're kind of a strange beast, aren't they?
They are.
I mean, they don't fit neatly into our traditional categories like we have physical goods or financial securities, and here comes this whole other thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That's precisely the challenge, right?
Yeah.
They're unique, and the law is, scrambling to kind of catch up. Right, exactly.
And that's why I think the Law Commission is so keen on getting public feedback.
Yeah.
By March 22nd.
Yeah.
They really want to hear people's experiences and concerns about how digital assets are being treated because, that will help them shape this new law.
So speaking of this need for clarity, the article also mentioned NFTs, which, for anyone who needs a quick refresher, are non-fungible tokens, basically like digital certificates of ownership, right, for things like digital art or collectibles. So how would classifying NFTs as property, how would that be different from, say, classifying Bitcoin as property?
That's a great question. I think they both pose similar challenges, right, in terms of how we think about them legally.
Right.
But NFTs add kind of another layer of complexity because, imagine inheriting a hard drive with a valuable NFT on it.
Okay, yeah.
Under this proposed law, it would be treated much like inheriting a physical painting.
Interesting.
It gets complicated.
It does get complicated, yeah. So it seems like the UK is really taking a proactive approach to this whole digital asset world, wouldn't you say? Absolutely.
And the article also mentioned a related project focusing on digital assets and electronic trade documents.
Right.
So what's the connection there?
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely a broader movement here. And the second project, which, has a deadline of May 16th.
Okay.
It's further evidence that the UK is really trying to build this comprehensive legal framework for digital assets. And I think it's a recognition that digital assets need a clear place in our legal systems.
Well, and it's interesting because Sarah Green, the Commissioner for Commercial and Common Law, she specifically mentioned the hurdles that digitization and decentralization create for, international law. This isn't just a UK thing.
Exactly, yeah. She was highlighting that this is a global issue, right? And the UK is trying to get ahead of the curve, I think. And, they've already taken some steps, like take, for instance, the Electronic Trade Documents Act,
Right,
which was recently enacted in the UK. It allows trade documents to be digitized, which I think is a really interesting precedent for recognizing digital assets in other areas of law.
So if we're trying to sum it all up for our listeners, would you say that the UK is taking concrete steps toward regulating digital assets? And this whole property rights thing for cryptocurrencies and NFTs is a big part of that.
I think that's a really good summary, yeah.
Okay, good. So, as with all things crypto, this is a developing situation, right?
Absolutely.
You don't have all the answers yet.
Right.
But I think the big question that this raises is, if this law passes in the UK, could it influence how other countries approach digital asset regulation?
I think it could. Yeah, it could be a real watershed moment, A lot of eyes are on the UK right now.
Yeah. definitely something to keep an eye on. And on that note, that is your deep dive for today.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.